Have you ever looked at your career and your life and thought, I've done everything right? Why does everything feel off? Why do I feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be? Or is there more out there and I'm just not finding it? Well, all women get there or sit in that space once, more than once,
Mhm.
throughout the trajectory of their careers. And so it's not just you. And that's why we're starting this series. Hi, I'm Julie Bauke, and welcome to the first episode of Career Happy Women, where we're having real, honest conversations about what happens when life and career, the one you've built, the one that's worked for you for some period of time, no longer feels like enough or it just doesn't feel like the right fit anymore. There's nothing wrong with you. This is normal. And instead of guessing and just trying over and over again until something sticks, which is pretty random, we're going to figure it out together. Now, this whole saga started when I was watching TikTok and I saw Janine do a TikTok about her experience. She was brand new, starting over at in her late 50s and was really trying to figure out what was next and said, I'm just going to go through this on TikTok. And I thought, well, let's do it together. So I'd like to introduce our first client, feature, victim, whatever you want to call her, Janine Sherrill.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. I'm so honored to be your first client.
So before we start this journey and bring everybody along with us, what would you like our listeners and viewers to know about you?
Well, I'd like the listeners to know a little bit about me so that you can understand my background and where I'm coming from and a little bit about where I would like to be going. As you said, my name is Janine Sherrill. I'm 58 years old. I've had a pretty incredible career largely in television for more than 25 years. And then I pivoted into marketing in the hospitality industry. And I am not working right now. And I'm not able to retire, unfortunately, because I think I could do retirement so well, but it's just I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So I do need to keep going forward and figuring out how to monetize and be able to support myself. I'm a
Yeah.
single mom. I have two kids, and they're grown. They're in their 20s,
Yeah.
so they're pretty much on their own.
Yeah. So this
You know,
period, this place you're sitting right now is both scary and exciting.
uh-huh.
Different proportions on different days. Is that fair to say?
That's totally fair to say. It's very fair to say, and I really try to make the choice to look at it as exciting and to kind of keep fear at bay because I think that I can very easily spiral into being afraid of like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? What am I going to do? Am I hireable? And are there no jobs out there for people my age? Do I want a job? Do I want a different career? So I can really get inside my
Yeah.
head. And that's something I don't want to do. So I do try to look at it as an exciting time. Um, and also as an opportunity that I didn't see women in older generations having.
Hmm.
And maybe they did, maybe I just wasn't around that, but I didn't see my mother or my friends' mothers thinking like, "Oh, well, let's see. My kids are grown. I have an empty nest. Now what should I do with my life?" It was just
Yeah.
like they just sort of went along doing what they were doing. So,
But I
I
bet you, Janine, they had exactly the same thoughts you are. It just wasn't socially acceptable to say
yeah.
that. You were supposed to be happy with the
Mm,
fact that the kids were gone and now you can just relax, do nothing. But
mhm.
very few people are actually happy at that point. And because we still have, and 58 looks different than it used to, also. And so you've got a lot of productive years left. And so it's a challenge. At every age and stage, it's a different type of challenge. But in your 50s and 60s, it's a special kind of challenge because now we're running into things like age discrimination. And the rate of change in technology is just off the charts with AI. And it's like, how do I stay relevant? And so we want to start this journey. I want to start this journey by sharing something that I came up with. I've been doing this career happiness stuff for 25, 26 years. I'm a firm believer that you can have what you want in your career within reason, or more of what you want in your career than you've ever believed possible. But the first thing that you have to do is figure out, what does career happiness look like for you right now? And those are the questions that people really shy away from because, especially if you're older, we've never been taught to think like that. It's like, well, it's a job. You're not supposed to like it. What's wrong with you? And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. And so, in all of my work with people across professions and industries and ages and stages, I came up with something I want to share with you. And for those of you who are listening, I'm going to say it, but I'm also going to show you I'm going to show you a visual as well. Um, and I'm going to show you my career happiness model. All right. So pardon the boomerishness here. And where is it? Where is it? Where is it? All right.
It's
So
not boomerishness. This is new for everybody. We're not supposed to know exactly how it all works.
I know exactly. So what I want to show you is something I call the career happiness formula. And I've come up with this over the years of working with people. And this formula works no matter where you are in your career, or how old you are, what your profession is. And so this is where we start. We start with the end in mind. And the end is our destination. So here's career happiness. Here's the career happiness formula. There's four parts of it. So I want you to think about this like a four-legged stool. So if you're watching, you've got the visual, but if you're listening, I'm going to describe it. So the career happiness formula, it's a four-legged stool, and all four of these pieces need to exist for you to be happy at work. And here's the trick. Any of these legs of this stool or table can get wobbly at any time and can throw you off. And so for each of us, this is going to look different. I know we all have friends that they say, well, here's what I do. And you think to yourself, oh God, that sounds horrible. And so each of us are different. And so what's right for you right now in this phase is what we need to get clarity on. So I want you to think about this like Google Maps. Okay. When you get in the car, you turn on Waze or Google or any of those maps that you use, you start with the end in mind. Where am I trying to go? You program in, you plug in where you want to go, and then it shows you how to get there. That's what we're doing. But where we're going to start is I'm going to introduce you to the career happiness formula. And I've shared this with Janine in advance and asked her to do some thinking on it. But here's the four pieces of it. What do you like to do? It's important that you generally like the work that is expected of you, the work that is required of you. If you're lucky, you love it. But at least you need to like it. The other piece is you need to be good at it. And again, if you're lucky, you're great at it. So liking something and being good at it is a wonderful start, but that's not all. And so this is very much the opposite of follow your passion, which always drives me crazy when I hear people say that. But if I like to do it and I'm good at it, that is a wonderful start. It's a wonderful start. There are things we like to do we're not good at. I always think of singing. That's why we keep the windows rolled up. Or we're good at it, but we don't like to do it. And that's generally when we get burnt out. The third leg of the stool is you need to be able to get paid to do it. If you are a really good typewriter repair person and you love to repair typewriters, good for you. But you probably, in this day and age, cannot get paid to do that unless all of a sudden typewriters make a comeback like record players did. But so it has to be something that there's demand for. And this is where you take it beyond follow your passion. Because follow your passion, that's all well and good, I guess, but there has to be a market for it. There has to be someone who'll pay you to do it. And they have to be willing to pay you what you need to make. And so there has to be a need for it. That's a big one. The fourth one, and this is really the big fat leg of the table or the stool, and that gets to culture. And I call it, you have to be working in a way, in a place that you can be successful. So if you like what you do, you get paid well and you're really good at it, but you're not a fit from a culture perspective, you don't have respect for the leadership of your organization, you don't believe in the mission and values of the organization, you don't really feel like you fit, you feel like the real outlier, that's going to make the whole table or stool come tumbling down. And when I ask people these questions, it's usually, this is where a bad manager, you may have heard, Janine, most people will tell you the primary reason they left their job was because of a bad leader. And this is the leg of the stool this falls into. So when you like it, you're good at it, you're paid for it, and you like the place you work in general, it's good working conditions, you can be career happy. Now, you can be generally life unhappy because of something else going on, but we're only talking about careers. The trick here is, though, it can start to change if all of a sudden you get a new leader, or all of a sudden they require you to come back in the office 5 days a week, and you can't do that. or you get tired of what you're doing. It can mess it up. So I use this as a diagnostic to say, help me figure out what's wrong. When you go to the doctor, he or she will ask you, where do you hurt? And just think about the career happiness formula as a where do you hurt? So you can solve the right problem. And so I use this for people who say, I'm miserable at work. And I have them break this down and figure out what's the source of pain. But it's also a great way to start getting information about yourself moving forward. So, for instance, Jean, I'm going to ask you, what's the best job you've ever had and why? And use the career happiness formula to kind of talk about that, if you would.
The best job that I ever had was when I was 22 years old. I was just starting out in television and I was hired to be an associate producer. And it was a great job because I was in an industry that I was always so attracted to. I started as a reporter when I was 11. I was on a show called Kids World, and and it was a children's news show. And I knew at that point that's exactly what I wanted to do with my life. So to be in that atmosphere where I was with other producers and reporters who were so giving of their time and their experience and really kind of took me under their wing and helped me to grow. And the reason I know it was a great job is because this was before we had direct deposit and they used to hand us our paycheck in an envelope.
Yeah.
And I would get the paycheck and I would go, oh, I forgot you pay me to be here. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just, I was so happy and I was young and I was learning so much about a different industry.
Perfect.
And I mean, every day, it didn't even matter. 5 o'clock came and went. I'm like, I couldn't care less. I'll stay here
Yep.
all day.
Yep.
I'm learning, I'm working, I'm doing, I'm absorbing all the stuff that I really wanted to be a part of for so long.
Yeah. That's, and if you ever have one of the, if you're lucky enough to
Hmm.
ever have one of those experiences in your career, it is like you hold on to that so tight and you say, I want more of that or I want that again. And so it's really important to say, because you said, look, they were paying me and, probably not much back then and
No.
in that industry,
Like,
but it was,
yeah.
that was an irrelevant piece. So where you were at that moment when you took that job, when you look at the four legs of that table, your table was rock solid. But it didn't stay that way for the next 40 years, which is what we expected of people decades ago and what boomers still expect in a lot of cases of themselves and their kids. Well, you liked it 30 years ago. What's wrong with you? No,
Mhm.
we change. And so our definition of career happiness changes. What about the worst job you've ever had? You don't have to give a name of a place, but when you think about the worst job you ever had, what made it bad?
The leadership made it bad. The environment made it bad. The coworkers were lovely people, and I got along very well with them, but nobody liked being there, and
Okay.
it was sort of a unanimous thing. So when you're in a place where you're not feeling like you're appreciated or heard or respected, it's a miserable existence.
I'm going to tell you that that
And it was
answer.
very short-lived for me,
Yep.
thankfully. It wound up going nowhere.
So it has been shown by multiple respected polling organizations, research companies, that poor leadership or a poor relationship, let's just say with your direct leader, is the cause of more stress in your life than a bad relationship at home is. Because I think because, especially now, because technology just has blurred or has really eliminated the line between work and home. So the carryover of a bad working environment, which generally is top down, it's generally from poor leadership, it's more impactful than ever before. And I will tell you, two-thirds to three-quarters or more of people, when I say, think the worst job you ever had, and then tell me which leg of the stool or table is the reason why it was so bad. Oh, three-quarters or more of people will say bad managers. And
Mhm.
that bears out in all of the research. And so then the question is, can I fix that leg at the table? Can I move? Let's say I love the company. Can I move to another place, another department in a company or not? And I'll talk to people sometimes and say, yeah, it's leadership. But then I find out it's family owned company and all the leaders are
Yeah.
family members. At that
Mhm.
point, I say, you got to move on. I hate to tell
Yeah.
you. And so figuring out what the problem is, and then you can look back and say, when you look back at every job you've had, there are clues. And so this is so simple that I always say it's so ridiculously simple, but it can be powerful. If you literally take a piece of paper, just take a piece of paper out of your printer, if it's all a printer, and just fold it in half like this. And across the top, write the name of every job you've ever had.
Hmm.
And then under that, on this side of the fold, write down everything you loved about it and why. And then turn it over and write down everything you hated about that job and why. And what you find is you start to see threads, you start to see patterns of things that make you happy. And this is so important. Just because every one of your coworkers liked working there, it doesn't mean that it was right for you. It doesn't mean that you're wrong because we're all different. So once you can look back and say, if I could take this from that job, this from that job, this from that job, and then add a sprinkle of these few things together, that'd be my perfect job. And so we have clues in our past, but we also have new things about ourselves. Because when you were 22, 32, 42, maybe even 52, your values, your priorities, your life was very different than it is now.
Yeah.
And so when you look at how we put together what we're going to program into our Google Maps, we have to, there's not one place to pull it from. You have to pull it from all these different places. So what has made me happy in the past? Really important. What has made me unhappy in the past? Really important. I'm not a detail person. I'm not good with numbers. That has not changed. That's a thing that's been a thread through my entire career. But there are things that change. Like you said, you have an empty nest now. And so it really is, it's really an open lane in terms of what you do. And that, even saying to some people, I get to create this from scratch and it's an open lane and I can do whatever I want, is exhilarating and super scary because we've never had that moment before.
Mhm.
It's new. We always have, if I had to, but we don't. And when I say to people, what do you want in your next job? They immediately go to what they don't want. Well, I'll tell you this. Like, okay, that's helpful. It's helpful. What I don't want is helpful, but it's also from the negative. So I am a big fan of pie in the sky, blue sky, 10 out of 10. What might that look like? So one of the things I want to ask you, Janine, about your future is as you think about your next stage, what is what are your non-negotiables? What are the things that you must have or really, really, really want in your next chapter of your career?
That's a deep question.
Yeah. And it's okay. This is going to evolve, and nobody can answer this right off the top of their head. But what are the things that matter most to you right now?
What matters most to me is that I am happy in doing what I'm doing. Um, and also that I have some autonomy.
Okay.
Uh, I do like being able to work remotely, but I also like collaborating with a team, so maybe a hybrid situation
Okay.
could work nicely. And I don't want to, you know, take myself out of the running for anything that might come up that's not that, because if it did check a lot of other boxes, then all right, I have
Yeah.
to go in 5 days a week. I
Yeah.
can do it. But and I would like it to be in involve helping people, telling stories, and
Perfect.
things that I'm interested in. And I'm
Perfect.
interested in relationships. I'm interested in fashion. I'm interested in food and in entertaining and
Good.
um,
Good. Good.
travel,
Wonderful.
lifestyle,
That's
spending
great.
time with family and with friends.
And that's where that flexibility and autonomy comes from.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so that's a great laundry list to start with. And I don't expect you to just come out of the box with this incredibly polished answer, because we're going to work on this and we're going to come up with a polished answer. So I was talking to someone yesterday, a young woman who's in her 30s, and she's a family member, and we were talking about that, what's next. And I said, it's one of these questions that we think about. And I asked her, I said, I'm going to challenge you to think about, let's say someone sent you an attachment or an email and it just said, I've attached a job description that has you written all over it. I think it's perfect for you. And you opened it up and you read it and you said, yes, this job is me. It's me from start to finish. I said, what would it say? What would it say? And
Ooh,
people are like, well, I'll know it when I see it. I'm like, that's not how this works. You have to be able to articulate what is the right job for you. And we're so used to just making these little moves, like from this job to this job, and kind of following a trail. And many talented people say, I've never had to work for a job before. And I think you said that to me. Everything just came your way. And so that
yeah.
may be true of our listeners and viewers as well. But you are responsible for imagining and putting some words around what's next, which allows people to help you, because 2/3 or more of people get their jobs through other people, people they know,
Mhm.
people they meet. Job boards are a dumpster fire, and you are not going to find a job that way. I can almost guarantee you that.
Yeah.
It is going to be through someone who knows you, or they're going to introduce you to someone that they know. It's going to be through a networking connection. I can almost guarantee it. And so, in order to help people help you, you have to um, tell them how to help you, what you want. I talked to a guy one time. He said, networking doesn't work. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, I've networked with 120 people and I don't have a job. And I said, okay. I said, tell me what you're looking for. And he couldn't. Like, I said,
Yeah.
so what you're telling me really is that you've wasted the time of 120 people. Because if you show up to 120 coffees and you tell your story, but you don't know what you're looking for, how do you expect people to help you? So you have to draw that picture. What am I looking for? And we're going to do that, as we're going to do that with you so that people can see that. And then you have, call it talking points, call it your story, call it your messaging. So you have messaging around the story of Janine and what Janine is looking for next. That's compelling, it's motivating, and it helps people help you. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
But you know what? You did something, and we did not set this up. You did something when you were talking last. You said, but I want this and this and this, but I don't want to be too. No, no, no. I want you to be. One of the challenges in job search, and this is counterintuitive. We think the wider net we throw out, the more fish we're going to catch, and it is the opposite.
Mm.
So imagine you are, let's put on our I'm a hiring manager hat. And I say, I got permission to hire one person. And I've got, this hire has to count because we're drowning over here. Do you want to hire person A who's gone through the process of figuring out what they want and can say, here's what I want? Or do you want the person who says, I can do anything, I'm just hard worker and I like people? Which one of those people is the better hire?
Well, clearly the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people hire people. And if you are a I'll do anything kind of person, I'm desperate in any way, shape, or form, that is not attractive. And so I have gone through this period. I moved on from my last job and I went through this period of real reflection where I really looked at what did I want my next phase to look like? And because of my experience doing A, B, and C and where I am in my life, what I've realized is what I really want to do next is this. Now, it doesn't have to be a job title. You just have to be able to describe what you
Mhm.
want to do so the person listening can help you. So it's getting to the point where you can plug your destination in for the most part. And I'll help you get close enough so that it's not confusing. Um, so it is so I'm going to show you an example from one of my clients who is a soccer coach. This is just an example. And I say this just to get you into like, the language. Okay.
Okay.
I am looking to leverage my Division I coaching experience to be a part of building a smaller program to national prominence. So this is a person who had been an assistant coach in D1. And it's
Mhm.
very hard to go from assistant to head coach in D1. Sometimes you have to go do some other things first and then come back. My strengths in recruiting, overcoming key challenges, and game planning position me well for this next step. In my next role, I want to take more of a leadership role in recruiting and in developing the culture of the team. If someone said this to me, I would say, okay, who do I know? who might be able to help this person get closer to his or her goal. So this person has told you what their strengths are.
Mm-hmm.
They've told you what they want to do. They have I have strengths in recruiting, overcoming challenges, and we could have gotten more specific there, and game planning. Okay, great. I know what I'm good at. So if I'm looking for somebody to be a coach in my program, I now know what they're really good at. Don't ever try to pretend you're good at everything. It's not possible. Get really knowledgeable about what you are good at, how you show up. In my next role, so now we've talked about my past. Now we're going to say, I am looking to take more of a leadership role in recruiting and in developing the culture of the team. Now, if the person said, well, we need somebody to run the snack bar, and this person said, yeah, I'll do that too. You've just lost all credibility.
Right.
The clarity, the self-knowledge, and the clarity is so important. And so the more you know yourself, the more thought you've given to what you want, the better hire you are, and the more attractive it is. You wouldn't believe how few people can actually articulate what they want. And so when you show up and you say, here's who I am, here's what I'm great at, here's what I love to do, and I'd like to do it for you in this way, people are going to go, oh, because it's so unusual. It's amazing to me. Yeah. I've been in this business for so long, and so few people, they show up for interviews, they show up for networking meetings, and they're just like, yeah, what do you guys do here? It's amazing to me. Like back in the day, we had to go to the library and get like books out and read about companies before we interviewed. Now you can find it with a keystroke. People still don't do it. It blows me away. And so self-knowledge and focus is a really attractive quality. And so this process, there's a little bit of, in this process, there's a little bit of if we take this moment as a Polaroid, as a snapshot, this moment in time, and we say, I need the three parts are, I need to review my past, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what have I learned along the way about myself, what have I really rocked at, what are the things that people come to me for? If you really take that look at who am I, who is this package of Janine today? Second step is what pieces of who I am today do I want to take forward? And what do I want to leave in the past? What pieces do I want to take forward? And what do I want to add to it? Once you start to figure that out, then the question becomes where and how do I do it? This young woman I was talking to, she said she was so upset because she couldn't figure out if she wanted to stay as a freelancer or look for a job. And she was absolutely beside herself. And I said, I think you're trying to put the cart before the horse. The first question is, what do you want to do? The second question is, where do you want to do it? And so it's once we get really focused on the outcome to a point that it's focused enough, not all over the place, then we activate those relationships, we activate those conversations, and you show up as a very attractive candidate because you've done the work. And then the where you do it, believe me, Janine, it falls into place. Whether it's a portfolio career where we have all these things that you're doing and you're a freelancer here and you're contract here, and you're doing a project over here, or it is a job job that you are perfect for. Those are the TBDs. So we don't have to go there yet. So we're going to take this one step at a time. What?
My head is spinning. It's like,
it's okay.
I have
That's
so
why we're
many
doing
thoughts
this
on
together.
everything you're saying,
Yeah.
and I think one of the things that is so important and that I'm trying to do is just be open.
Yeah.
Be open to whatever opportunities and different kind of outcome might
Yeah.
present itself, because
Yeah.
having a portfolio career, that is not something I'm used to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've always, I'm a huge fan of security
Yeah. Yes. That
and
plays into it. That
benefits.
absolutely plays into it. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And
So,
that
yeah.
becomes part of, and it all these questions, the reason that you're like, is because no one ever taught you how to do this. No one
Mhm.
ever taught us. They taught us, you and I are not the same age, I'm older, but we're in, the same decade, let's say.
Mhm.
And we in our day, we you got a job out of college and it was like, okay, be well. And that was never a good idea, I will say. It was never healthy. That's why people have been miserable for so long. And we're in a different place now, and the younger generations get it. And so we're trying to figure it out and try to think a little bit like they do. But you want to be open, but not too open. Because the truth is, you won't just do anything. You can't, you won't.
Right.
Friend of mine's daughter, when she's now 36, when she was 3, she said, they asked her what she wanted to be when she grows up. And she said, I either want to be a ballerina or I want to pick dead animals up off the road.
Oh.
See, that's like, she's a curator at an art gallery now. But it's that I'll do anything. I had a guy say to me, well, I've been unemployed a while, so I'll take any job. I'm like, no, that is not the flex you think it is. That's not
Mhm.
attractive. And so our goal is to get you from up here where you feel like blah, 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 to here by putting some words around what it is you see yourself doing moving forward. And I'm not talking about a job title. I'm not talking about a company. I'm like, what do you want to be doing every day? That's the stuff. And then once we have that articulated, that then forms the basis of what we call our communication strategy. And what that is, that's 3 parts. It's your resume, it's your LinkedIn profile, and it's your verbalization. How do you tell your story? When someone says, tell me about yourself, or what do you want to do next? It's your verbal messages. There should be continuity between those 3 pieces of your communication strategy. They should all tell the same story. And it's this is the opposite of throwing something against the wall and hope it sticks. This is purposeful, focused search. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy or fun every day, but I do guarantee you're going to get to a better outcome than you would if you were simply out there trying to figure this out on your own. But there is a process here. And what I love about what I do is you're going to know it after this. You're going to understand it. And after we go through all of our sessions, you're going to, if in 5 years you need to do this again or 2 years, you'll know how.
Mhm.
So, how are we feeling now, girl?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I do want to mention one of the things that I struggle with, and that I have struggled with at this point in my career,
Mm-hmm.
my work life, is that my resume, it's great, but it's not where I want to go. So when I look at things like my LinkedIn profile, yeah, it's showing what I just did and all of this, but and people were come up to me and say, "Oh, well, clearly you like hospitality, you like marketing." I'm like, no, but now I have that experience and
Right,
maybe I can use that in
right,
some other way, but I don't want to
right.
continue doing what's at the top of my resume.
And you know what is interesting? You just made my point because by allowing other people to assume based on what they see and know in you,
Hmm.
they're not assuming correctly.
Hmm.
And so if you're out meeting with people saying, yeah, I don't know what I want to do, all you're doing is leaving them to um, assume based on your resume. And they're going to say, hey, did you hear that channel 3 is blah, blah, blah? And you're like, no. So the part of it is you are helping people help you by doing the work up front to do a successful search. We've heard the phrase ready, aim, fire, or we say think, plan, execute. You don't, and the biggest mistake job seekers make in transition is, or they're thinking about a transition, is they just start firing away or they just start executing. They pick up the phone and call everybody they know. And then the person says, well, what do you want to do next? I don't know. I don't know anything. I'll do anything. It's like, no, 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 no. We ready? We get ready, we aim, then we execute. And so what we're doing right now is we're doing ready, aim.
Okay.
And so it's easy to look ahead and say, I don't know how to do that, or it doesn't feel like something I can do. I'm just saying, let's trust the process and know that it's going to work out just fine. And the beautiful thing about this is you're going to learn so much about yourself and what all of your experiences have prepared you for. And there will be some surprises along the way, which is really kind of fun. Because like, I never knew that was even a thing. And that's what I love about this self-exploration. And then you turn it into action in a way that feeds your soul and really leads you to one of my favorite sayings is what you want a life, you want a career that serves your life. You don't want your life to serve your career. And
Yes.
so, yeah, and so you can absolutely do that. So what we're gonna do, so if you're listening or watching and this conversation resonated with you, good. You're not alone. And we're just getting started. As you can see, Janine, even though she's fabulous and has had an amazing career, she feels the same way you do. You may be sitting there at 25 or 35. We all go through this stuff over and over again. It's not a one and done, and it shouldn't be because we change as people. We evolve as people. We live our lives in chapters. Now, you're in the empty nest chapter.
Mhm.
Others that are watching this have little ones running around. I have a very anxious dog on my lap right now, and I'm trying to hold her down because she's really clingy today for some reason. So if you've seen a little black hair pop up, that's my girl Maisie, who's
Oh, so
so
cute.
like such a ding dong today. But if this resonated with you, follow along. Um, you can find me at Julie on the Job on TikTok and on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. And Janine, where can we find you?
You can find me at Janine Sherrill on TikTok and on Instagram.
And we are going to be putting this on my YouTube channel, so that's an easy way to watch it on video too. But we'll be posting clips of it everywhere. Wherever you see it, you can go back to YouTube and watch the whole thing. And what I recommend is that you follow along, that you do these exercises, that before the next session, you think about your worst job, your best job, and why. You think about what are your importance or non-negotiables in your next role. And questions like, here's one of my other, I forgot to ask you this one, but I love this question. What do you want more of, less of, never again? And so you have to almost
Mm.
become a student of yourself and be brave and bold to say, I want this. I deserve this. I'm going to get this. Instead of, oh, nobody will ever hire me for this. Like women, we just do this all the time. It drives me crazy. And so you can follow along. You can send me questions. And we're just getting started. So we're going to go on this journey together and we're going to watch Janine blossom into a big flower and
Oof,
her next
can't
career
wait.
move. And if she can do it, you can do it. You're more powerful than you think you are, and you have more possibilities and opportunities than you think you do as well. Do you need any final words or any thoughts or let me ask you this. What has resonated or what is stuck in your mind right now as you're thinking about what we've talked about today? What's the thing that you're going to be turning over in your mind after we end this recording?
I'm going to be turning over, thinking about what it is that lights me up and that gives me life and that makes me happy, and trying to hone in on a little bit of clarity as far as that goes. That's what's a little unsettling to me. And by
Mhm.
a little, I mean a lot
Okay.
unsettling to
Okay.
me that I don't have clarity. It's not like, okay, well, now I know I want to go and apply for this job or do this in my life. So I think really sitting down and writing and walking and thinking about
Hmm.
what those things are that I like to do, is going to be really important and getting those on paper.
I think exactly. I think a journal or a notebook
Mm.
where I mean, sometimes you go back and read it and think that was stupid, but that's okay
Oh,
because
it doesn't matter. And I'm very
everything,
big on journaling. I
yeah,
am an
yeah,
advocate of journaling.
yeah, and don't. And I here's my advice to you: don't like edit yourself. Like, oh, I can't do that. Or if there's
Mhm.
something that lit you up in the past, there might be other ways to get that don't look like the way you got it in the past. And so let's just focus on the content of the job, what's going to make you happy, what's going to make you feel fulfilled, what's going to let you coast into that last phase of your career and your life. Hopefully, you've got a lot of living left to do, but our careers, they do start to take different shape the older we get. And again, it's normal. So stay tuned for the next episode of Career Happy Women, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Janine.
Thank you.